if the police don't acknowledge that they're going to have a moratorium, after all, there's no better decision in British Columbia than this. Why would the police not want to adhere to it? Why would the police not say, we understand Judge Chen is a learned judge, he's appointed by the Attorney General, he's come up with the most authoritative decision so far, so until we hear from the BC Supreme Court, we're going to make this the law in Vancouver. What's wrong with them saying that? Why can't the police accept the fact that millions of Canadians smoke marijuana, and that in fact this would be a much more tolerable decision to agree with? The police are only making enemies of the hundreds of thousands of people who smoke marijuana by persisting in enforcing an obsolete law. Here's to freedom, here's to marijuana legalization. Marijuana is legal. And no. As we can see, there are no police out here currently while we smoke this joint. Representing our 15 grams that you're allowed to carry on 2 of these at any given time, anywhere in Canada, especially in British Columbia.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to have one.
Light it again.
Light it up.
Light it.
Well, maybe they'll prioritize it.
Whoa! And it's the best kind of pot too. It's blueberry. It's grown here in the
Marc Emery for Prime Minister.
Now, the police have said they are going to use their discretion enforcing the law. My feeling is, if you can smoke a 15-gram Chonger in front of the Vancouver Police Department, then basically they have agreed with us that marijuana is legal. We all know it. They know it. We're just keeping up pretenses. So tell everybody far and wide that marijuana is legal. The BC Supreme Court will uphold this decision. And then, after 35 years of being hunted down, we will be free at last. Yeah. In the meantime, remember, 165 million people smoke marijuana around the world, according to the United Nations. 250,000 people are in jail at any one time. And after Canada is liberated, and these courts that have come to our aid have made marijuana legal across the land, then we will go and we will begin to lobby and work that the United States should be as free as Canada, and that we can set an example for the rest of the world. Here, let me have some of that back there. Here, Flash. Here, let me.
It's running. Marc Emery for Prime Minister.
Oh, not yet. We just need to convince the Prime Minister that marijuana should be legal. That's what we want. We don't care who's Prime Minister as long as he's for legalization.
Freedom.
But that having been said, Paul Martin is a very dangerous person for the cannabis community. Paul Martin is totally in favor of kissing the Americans' ass, just like Stephen Harper. Both the major parties in Canada are leading us down towards a U.S.-style drug war. And in the next election, I urge you to investigate the other parties, including, of course, the Canadian Marijuana Party, who will be running a full slate in British Columbia in the next federal election. Every lawyer, every accused is entitled to ask the judge to ascertain that the law really is valid and in effect. That's how Judge Chen was asked to do this. He did not deal with a possession offense. He dealt with a lawyer who specifically asked him to validate under law if there was a marijuana prohibition in effect. And he conclusively came to the decision that there was not. That's what every single defendant charged in British Columbia with marijuana possession can do before a judge. This weighs 15 grams. And you can carry 2 of these. In fact, the Ontario Court of Appeal did not actually set any specific amount. They said as much as you need to possess is an adequate amount before it's considered trafficking. So it's not even limited to just 30 grams. And furthermore, the judge believed you should be able to cultivate those plants to provide you with that possession. So the court ruling is wide-ranging and has yet to have its full effect felt. The Supreme Court, of course, has a verdict coming out from November to January, and it will lay all this to rest. But I think the Supreme Court is going to be greatly influenced by the number of judges in Ontario, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and now British Columbia that have said that there is no marijuana law. It's clear the judiciary is tired of fighting the war on drugs. The judiciary wants out of the war on drugs, and they want out of the war on marijuana. 1 million Canadians have been convicted in Canadian courts, and judges are asking, why does this happen? What is the benefit to the nation? What is the moral basis by which the nation persecutes the marijuana people? And of course, there is no valid reason. It is plain bigotry. It is plain hatred by the system, by the government towards its own people, that they persecute us for marijuana, a non-toxic plant that grows everywhere on planet Earth. Do we love marijuana? Yeah! And we're always going to love it. We're going to expand. We want more people to smoke marijuana. That's why I brought a 15-gram joint. Amy, come and smoke this joint. Good for you, Amy. Anybody else want a toke on this? Okay, there you go, there you go. And there's the thing I've always wondered, too. The police always raid marijuana grow-ups with 8 guys in flak jackets, and they kick the door down, and they scream at you to get on the floor and don't move and threaten you. We've had police in Abbotsford shoot dogs and blast blood all over children at a birthday party. We've had deaths in North Vancouver in 1993 when North Van police mistook a silver object for a gun and killed someone who wasn't even having any drugs on the premises. We've seen death. We've seen 1 million Canadians convicted. We've seen hundreds of thousands of Canadians jailed for marijuana. And what is the benefit to the nation? How has the nation been spared anything whatsoever? It's cost billions every year. It's cost lives. It's cost our freedom. It's made police a huge problem in corruption, in police violence, all because of the drug war. What is the benefit to the nation by continuing the marijuana drug war? There is no benefit. And furthermore, there's no moral basis. The purpose of this is to get the police to acknowledge the rule of law. The most authoritative decision that has come down in British Columbia about marijuana from Judge Chen has ascertained that there is no marijuana law. And Judge Patrick Chen is, I believe, an Asian Canadian. He's a very learned man. He's gone to university. This is an intelligent, rational decision. It's the most advanced decision of all the decisions. And if the police would read it, they would understand its clarity, and that it is absolutely totally crystal clear that Judge Chen has researched this totally and completely and looked at every single case, and he said it is unequivocal. It's totally clear that there is no marijuana law. There's no room for debate. Now, Parliament could recriminalize marijuana. They can make it illegal again. But right now, in this day, and since July 31st, 2001, there has been no marijuana law. And my contention is that 75,000 charges were laid in that time for marijuana possession and cultivation for personal use, and all those convictions should be overturned. And in fact, there's every reason to believe that, first of all, we had 50,250 charges last year in 2002 for marijuana possession and personal cultivation. That's a record number. It's never been as high as 50,000 before until last year. So unlike the police have been telling us that marijuana possession isn't a priority, they are making it the most important priority. Marijuana possession charges and arrests go up every year, and all other crimes go down. And so the police are spending more and more time and money on marijuana charges, and in the last 2 years it hasn't even been illegal. It's not even against the law, and the police refuse to pay attention to many court decisions that have said marijuana. You know, in Ontario, for 4 months now, no one gets charged. Marijuana is completely legal to possess in Ontario, and everybody knows it. 10 million Ontarians are enjoying the benefit of this. Why? Is it a provincial law? No, it's a federal law, except that Ontario, 10 million Ontarians are enjoying the benefit of legal marijuana. No one has been charged in Ontario for 4 months. They now have coffee shops, they have cafes, they have places where people can meet to smoke marijuana, and British Columbia needs the same thing. We need the legal stamp of approval to tell the police that you can't charge us anymore, and you can't harass us, and you can't bother us, and we can carry marijuana everywhere we like, and there's nothing the police can or should do about it, just like Ontario. And it's a federal law, and they're just being obstinate and stubborn by not admitting that this decision by Patrick Chen is the most authoritative decision since the original Ontario Court of Appeal. I've read it many times. It's a very major work, and no one in the police department, I'm certain, has read it. because it's very clear there is no marijuana law. Now, why would the police chief say police officers can use their discretion when you have an educated man appointed by the Attorney General who's in the court, who's made an authoritative decision? He has said is no law. Why would you leave it to the discretion of an officer to decide what laws he's going to enforce?